On a snowy night, I found a homeless Leo and brought him home. He was gentle and caring, a puppy-like boyfriend who clung to me all day, saying, "Grace, I love you so much. Let's be together forever, okay?" That was until I saw him at the lounge, surrounded by women, living a life of debauchery. The man smirked, "You missed me, baby. That old woman might be a bit older, but at least she takes good care of herself. Pretending to be her younger brother is quite amusing. These older women are desperate. Just show a little vulnerability, a few sweet words, and they're completely smitten." The music was deafening, and neon lights shimmered brightly. In the shadows, the man sat casually sprawled on a sofa, his chest half exposed, arms spread wide. Someone laughed, raising a glass and shouting, "Leo, you haven't been out drinking with us guys for over a month. Even if you don't miss us, at least think of Chloe. Chloe's heart is completely set on you, she misses you terribly. Heh. It looks like our Leo is addicted to his May-December romance. I have to say, even though Grace is a bit older, she's kept herself in pretty good shape. If you get tired of her, Leo, recommend me. I wouldn't mind being Grace's kept man for a while, ha ha ha." Another man guffawed, his tone lewd. Leo kissed the woman in his arms and chuckled, "Alright, when I'm done with her, I'll put in a good word for you. But you don't have my face, so that old woman probably wouldn't be interested. She's quite proud. And if it weren't for her decent looks, who'd even look twice at an older single woman like her?" The neon lights in the lounge cast a glow on his profile, making him appear even more wicked and charismatic. There was no trace of the innocent, harmless facade he usually presented to me. I stood in the corner, watching the scene with icy eyes, letting out a cold scoff. Months earlier, on my way home from work, I'd found Leo frozen in the snow right outside my door. After he woke up, the man clung to me. He told me he was an orphan, had just graduated college, couldn't find a job, and only had $500 left. He asked me to take him in. In front of me, he was always docile and vulnerable. He was always doting, attentive to my needs, and cooked for me. He was the picture of a devoted husband and father. I was too busy with work, and I thought having a boyfriend like him wouldn't be so bad. So I tacitly accepted our relationship and let him stay. I never expected that while out for a business meeting today, I would stumble upon this scene. "Ms. Grace, what's wrong? Do you know them?" my subordinate asked cautiously. I snapped back to reality and continued walking upstairs. "No, I don't. I was just thinking about the dog I keep at home. It's not very obedient, it even dares to bite its owner." "Ah, a dog that bites its owner is truly unacceptable." "Indeed. I'll get rid of it when I go back." After returning home, I accepted the offer to join the company headquarters. It was located on Aegis. I had actually received this offer a month ago. But every time I thought of Leo, I would soften and couldn't bear to leave. I had originally planned to decline the invitation upon my return tonight. I wanted to settle down in this city and build a stable little family with Leo. Not anymore. Understood. Alright, thank you. I'll book my flight now and report for duty in 2 weeks. After hanging up, I called a moving company. I asked them to pack my belongings. Once things settled down there, I would have my parents join me. Leo didn't return until past 3 in the morning. When he saw me sitting on the sofa, his drunkenness instantly vanished, replaced by a cold sweat of fear. He said nervously, his guilt evident, "Grace, weren't you supposed to be on a business trip tonight? Why are you back so suddenly?" Without looking up, I continued booking my flight for 2 weeks later. I replied calmly, "Something unexpected came up, so I came back early." The man quickly regained his composure, smiling sweetly as he sat in front of me. "It's so good to have you back, Grace. Are you hungry? I can make Grace some late-night supper." He whined, "Grace, since you weren't coming home tonight, I was scared being alone, so I stayed at the movie theater downstairs all night. Grace doesn't even feel bad for me." Leo congratulated himself on his caution. He had specifically showered 3 times at the hotel to wash off all traces of alcohol. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have been able to explain himself. I confirmed my choice and booked the flight. Only then did I look up and scrutinize the man before me. He had milky white skin, refined features, and large double eyelids. When he smiled, his eyes curved sweetly. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I truly wouldn't have believed he was the same dissolute playboy I'd seen at the lounge. Later, when he was asleep, I noticed 2 deep nail scratches and several hickeys on his back. I pretended not to notice. It wasn't until I was deeply asleep that the man beside me finally let out a sigh of relief and relaxed. I've always been perceptive. He was truly afraid I'd discover something amiss. Luckily, he had gotten away with it. He thought, next time he went out to play around, he'd have to be even more careful. The moving company arrived the next day. Leo asked, puzzled, what's all this for? I explained, the house is a mess. I asked them to come and organize everything. He didn't suspect a thing. He smiled and hugged me from behind. Grace, that's perfect. There's something I wanted to tell Grace. Like Chloe is starting college, and Grace knows how expensive housing is. Since we have so many rooms, her staying here won't be an inconvenience. So I told her to come stay with us. She'll be here any minute. I figured it was such a small matter that I didn't need to tell Grace. And soon enough, I met the cousin he spoke of. It was none other than Chloe, the woman I'd seen in his arms last night. The woman had golden curly hair, smiled warmly, and coyly linked her arm through his. You must be Grace, right? I hear cousin talk about you all the time. I'll be imposing on you these next few days. Chloe simply walked into the villa with her bag and settled in. In front of me, they always referred to each other as cousins, while making subtly intimate gestures. Cousin, I don't like the bottoms of strawberries. You can have the rest. The woman pushed the pile of strawberry bottoms remaining on the plate towards Leo. She looked up at me and smiled. Grace doesn't mind, does Grace? At home, I always just eat the tips of strawberries. The bottoms are for cousin. I felt a wave of nausea. I smiled, of course not. You're cousins, it's perfectly normal for you to share things. I understand. Over the next few days, Chloe constantly feigned closeness to me. She took advantage of me by using all my cosmetics and jewelry. I didn't bother to argue with her. I was just counting down the days until I left. 10 more days. That night, I had just fallen asleep, when I heard Leo tiptoeing out, carefully closing the door behind him. A moment later, their passionate entanglement began. The man said with a satisfied chuckle, Chloe really knows how to have fun. Having an affair right here in the villa, it's thrilling. Leo, I heard Ms. Grace suffers from chronic insomnia. Why don't we trick Grace into taking a couple more sleeping pills? Then it would be even more exciting to play right in front of Grace's bed, wouldn't it? Chloe snuggled into his arms. Leo, you have to take responsibility. I'm pregnant with your baby, and the doctor said it might be twins. Fine, if you want to have the kids, then have them. Grace doesn't understand anything besides work anyway, Leo said carelessly, scoffing. Then I'll just lie and tell Grace the children were abandoned. Grace is already 32 and so old, Grace probably can't have kids anyway. It'd be perfect for GRA. See to raise my sons for me. But he didn't realize I didn't care about any of it. My indulgence of him only grew worse. That day, I had just returned home when I discovered Chloe and Leo were doing a live stream. She was wearing and using all my things, falsely claiming to be a socialite. The two were intimately embracing and kissing, posing as a romantic couple for the live stream. Leo hadn't expected me to return so suddenly. He frantically pulled away from the woman in his arms. Streamer, who's that beautiful Grace who just walked in behind you? Didn't you say this was just your cozy home for two? Ah, you two streamers are so perfect together, so sweet. Such a huge house, you must wake up in a gigantic bed. That behind them is pretty too. But why do these two streamers look so weird, so guilty? That's the housekeeper. The man hastily explained to the camera, hey, don't let her young looks fool you. She's actually 32, a full 9 years older than me. So old, what else could she be but the housekeeper? He then ordered me, what are you standing around for? I pay you such a high salary, hurry up and make dinner. I hadn't expected them to be so bold. They were truly brazen, unafraid that I would sense something was amiss. I paused for a moment. But I didn't want to expose my private scandal to the public. I didn't want to be made a spectacle of and become a trending topic. So I nodded and went to the kitchen. I can cook. The live stream lasted an hour, and they sat there, looking all lovey-dovey. Chloe's coquettish laughter occasionally drifted from the room. Oh, you guys, really? With the housekeeper cooking in the kitchen, it feels a bit awkward for us to kiss like this. Baby, the fans want us to kiss, so let's just kiss. I silently cooked in the kitchen. I actually enjoy cooking. It had been a long time since I'd cooked myself a meal, and it would be perfect to eat it myself once it was ready. After the live stream ended, Leo immediately rushed over to explain. Grace, don't be angry. Chloe is young, and she suddenly started a live stream and called me over. Since it was live, I couldn't contradict her and make her lose face, could I? He pretended to be vulnerable, as usual, tugging on my sleeve. Are you mad? I really didn't mean to say Grace was the housekeeper, I just couldn't explain at the time, right? I simply smiled. Why would I be? You two are cousins, blood relatives. Even if you're a bit intimate, it's not like I'd get jealous, would I? I had already communicated with headquarters, and it was confirmed that I could start my position as soon as I arrived. I had no interest left in caring about them. That day, I was working late at the office when I suddenly received a call from Leo. His voice was anxious and frantic, with a noisy background. Grace, please hurry and save me. I was having dinner with friends and got beaten up at the lounge. It was the same lounge where I had encountered him before. Although I no longer had any feelings for him, I couldn't just stand by and let him be in trouble. I still hailed a taxi and rushed over. That lounge was the largest establishment in the city, operating a legitimate business, so I wasn't too worried about anything serious happening. To my surprise, when I arrived, I saw the man perfectly fine, surrounded by a group of people in the center of the room. A group of young playboys were completely drunk, with various beautiful women seated beside them. Wahahaha. So this is Grace. What a stunner, no wonder she's got Leo so infatuated he hasn't been out with us in days. Grace, you're older than all of us. Come on over and sit down, let's all get acquainted and have a drink. I recognized who was speaking. It was the same man who had asked Leo to introduce him to me last time. I instantly realized I had been tricked. My expression turned cold, and without even looking at Leo, I turned to leave. Hey, don't go. But two of the playboys blocked the door, coming over to pull me down onto a seat. Leo's eyes darted away, he didn't dare look at me, keeping his gaze down. Suppressing my anger, I said, "Excuse me, I don't drink. Since everything seems fine, I have other matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving now." "Oh no, you don't. Leo is our good brother. Since you're his girlfriend, not drinking with us is disrespectful, isn't it? You have to drink with us tonight." The group of men wouldn't let up. Each of them, flushed with drink, stared at me excitedly. Outnumbered, I had no choice but to force myself to drink. Normally, I never touch alcohol when negotiating business. So after just 2 drinks, my head started to feel fuzzy, but the group still wouldn't let up. They kept relentlessly pouring drinks for me. Leo pretended not to see, chatting animatedly with those around him. "Grace, what do you think of me? I might not be as handsome as Leo, but I'm not bad looking either. Why don't we have a good chat tonight? Your little brother here can certainly satisfy Grace too." The man leered, reaching out to put his arm around my waist, a strong smell of stale alcohol wafting towards me. My expression changed, and I sprang to my feet. Without hesitation, I grabbed the drink in my hand and splashed it all over him. Still feeling unsatisfied, I raised my high heel and kicked him hard. I gritted my teeth and hissed, "Leo, you scoundrel." The man I kicked crashed into a table with a loud clatter and fell, stunning everyone present. I turned and stormed out, slamming the door behind me. I had been so naive. Leo was rotten to the core, yet I had still softened and come to his aid. From now on, even if he died in a ditch, it would have nothing to do with me. Leo didn't return until the next morning. He reeked of alcohol when he came back. He angrily confronted me. "Grace, what was that stunt you pulled last night?" Grace just walked out without a care, leaving me completely humiliated in front of my friends. It was just a few drinks, and Grace had to act so haughty, putting on airs like Ms. Grace. Grace embarrassed me terribly. I couldn't believe he had the nerve to confront me. I raised my hand and slapped him. "Leo, how dare you come here and question me? What were you doing last night? What did you intend by luring me there?" The man was stunned by the slap. He reacted with a face full of fury, his complexion flushing even redder with anger. "You're being utterly unreasonable. What do you mean I lured you there? My friends just wanted to meet Grace. Grace is always saying Grace is busy. If I'd just asked nicely, Grace definitely wouldn't have come. Now, go apologize to my friends immediately." With that, he grabbed my wrist and tried to drag me outside. "Let go." "I'm not going," I said, my face icy, and I forcefully shook off his hand. But how could my strength compare to Leo's? It felt like my wrist was about to be crushed. Amidst my struggle, he suddenly let go. Due to the momentum, I fell backward, my head hitting the ground directly. My vision instantly went black, and then I felt a warm liquid trickling down. When I opened my eyes again, I was already in a hospital bed. The doctor said I had a slight concussion and needed a few days of rest. "Grace, I'm sorry. I was too impulsive and caused Grace to get hurt." Leo sat by the bed, filled with remorse, feeding me porridge. "Does hurt?" Seeing me lying pale in bed, a flicker of vexation arose in his heart. He shouldn't have been so blinded by anger in the moment and deliberately let go. Fortunately, nothing truly serious had happened to me. I simply closed my eyes, too weary to look at him anymore. Thankfully, it was just a minor concussion. 3 or 4 days of rest would be enough, and it wouldn't disrupt my plans. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't have forgiven him. Once he saw I was asleep, Leo was called out by Chloe. Leo, you absolutely have to go to this car race. The night before last, Grace caused such a huge embarrassment. NT for everyone, tonight, you absolutely must make a statement. The man's expression faltered, and he glanced briefly towards the hospital room. Chloe noticed his hesitation and grabbed his arm. Leo, don't tell me you've actually developed real feelings for that old woman, getting too deep into your act as the devoted husband? Her life or death, what does it have to do with you? What could possibly happen to Grace in the hospital? Are you going to stay with Grace? Of course not, I was just playing around. Alright, I'll go with you now. Leo glanced at me lying in bed, then turned and strode out. Anyway, I was rich. I would surely hire a nurse to take care of me. Besides, this whole mess was caused by my lack of propriety, he had to go sort it out. I hadn't expected Leo to leave without a word. And I actually fell asleep, so no one was monitoring my foredrip. By the time the nurse arrived, I was already experiencing flashback, and the foretube was filled with bright red blood. The nurse was annoyed. Where's your boyfriend? He's so careless, not even paying attention to your fore. You should get a new boyfriend. I covered the needle site and smiled politely at her. Yes, I'll be changing him soon. A friend had just sent me a video on my phone. Grace, why does this man look so familiar? Isn't he that puppy-like boyfriend Grace picked up? I opened the video. Inside, there were all kinds of luxury cars. The group of playboys who'd forced me to drink the day before yesterday were all there, every single one. Leo, wearing a racing suit, was accompanied by a provocatively dressed Chloe, his usually docile face now alight with a wild grin. He shouted, everyone, have fun tonight, the bill's on me. Ha ha ha. Leo, you're so generous. Of course Leo's generous. That old woman is a cougar, it's only right she spends money on our Leo, isn't it? Let's help Leo spend it all tonight. The group raced cars, having a wonderful time. There was no sign of them worrying about the patient. My gaze grew even colder, and I closed the video. I had indeed been very generous with Leo. Pitying his difficult circumstances, I covered all his daily expenses. I showered him with various luxury items. In just a few months, the gifts I'd given him amounted to millions. I considered that money charity given to a beggar. Judging by his private behavior, I knew he was definitely a rich kid who wasn't short on money. Whether I asked for the money back or not, it wouldn't make a difference to me. But I never expected that even while hospitalized, I couldn't have peace. In the early hours of the morning, I received a call from the police. Ms. Grace, you lent your car to Ms. Chloe, who does not have a driver's license. They were illegally street racing and were involved in a major car accident. We need Ms. Grace to come to the police station. It turned out the group hadn't had enough fun. Leo had thought of my newest model sports car. He had simply gone home, taken the car keys, and driven it away for racing. But that sports car had faulty brakes. I had intended to take it for repairs in a few days. A major car accident had occurred, with several sports cars colliding and sustaining severe damage. Chloe had bad luck, she broke her leg and, what's worse, suffered a miscarriage. Her eyes red with tears, she cried, staring at me with venomous hatred. Wah! Leo, my baby's gone. It's all her fault. If her brakes hadn't been faulty, how could this accident have happened? She did it on purpose. Leaving a car with faulty brakes out there, she intentionally wanted to harm us. Send to jail. I explained to the police with a cold expression, I didn't lend them the car. I was in the hospital at the time. They took the car without permission, you can check the surveillance footage. Leo was beside Chloe, taking care of her. With the baby gone, his face was also terribly grim. Even though he didn't like Chloe, this was his first child, and it was just gone. And he projected his anger onto me. So, from beginning to end, he didn't say a single word in my defense, letting Chloe slander me. This hospital had limited resources, and rooms were scarce. I, however, was in a private room. All the other rooms were full. Leo said, I've asked the doctor about Grace's injuries. It's just a slight concussion, Grace can rest anywhere. But is seriously injured and suffered a miscarriage, she absolutely needs good rest. So should give up Grace's private room and go stay with others, and let Chloe recuperate here. I looked at him with an indifferent gaze and asked, am I your girlfriend or is she? She doesn't seem like your cousin to me. Didn't you say she was in college? Whose baby is it? He hadn't expected me to ask that. The man's eyes darted nervously, and he looked sheepish under my gaze. His voice immediately softened. What are you talking about? Chloe and I are cousins, don't joke about such things. He put on an innocent expression. Grace, please don't be angry. She is my cousin, after all, and she's so seriously injured. I wouldn't know how to explain it to Uncle and the others, that's why I wanted her to rest better. Leo hardly dared to look into my eyes, his heart pounding in his throat. There's no way I could have discovered anything, right? He'd hidden it so well, almost convincing himself. I definitely wouldn't find any flaws. Thinking this, he took my hand, his smile becoming even sweeter and more innocent. Grace, please don't be mad at me anymore. After is discharged in a few days, let's go on a honeymoon. Grace knows I love children. Since my cousin had a miscarriage, I can't help but take extra care of her. But when the time comes, Grace must give me a son and a daughter to complete our family. I promise I'll treat them wonderfully. I truly didn't want to see them anymore. I agreed to switch rooms and move to another one with other patients. Leo was rarely to be seen, he spent most of his time next door, looking after Chloe, who had miscarried. The two elderly women in the same room sighed repeatedly. Grace, don't mind us old ladies, but your boyfriend and his cousin seem to have a rather ambiguous relationship. Grace really ought to be careful. Oh, last night when I went to the restroom, I glanced over at their room, and guess what? That cousin was embracing and kissing your boyfriend, and they were stark naked. I smiled and nodded, thanking them. I stumbled to call the doctor myself to inquire about my condition, learning that I had recovered well and could be discharged. However, just as I had finished the discharge procedures and was about to leave, Leo rushed over in a panic. His eyes lit up when he saw me. He grabbed my hand without a thought and pulled me forward. Grace, it's so good Grace is here. Hurry and come with me, Chloe is waiting for Grace to save her. I remember Grace both have Rh-negative blood type. She's lost a lot of blood now, hurry and give her a transfusion. Being pulled like that made my head buzz and swim again, and my steps became unsteady. My face cold, I yanked my hand back. I gripped the nearby railing. What happened to her? It's my fault, all my fault. Leo was very distressed, his face anxious. Grace, don't ask questions now, just come with me to donate blood. It's a matter of life and death. Thinking it was a matter of life and death, I still followed him. Chloe had cut her wrists, lost too much blood, and was in the emergency room. In the entire hospital, only she and I had the same blood type. The doctor, with a serious expression, reprimanded Leo. I know you young people are passionate, but your girlfriend doesn't take care of herself, and you, as her boyfriend, are so inconsiderate. She miscarried at almost 4 months pregnant, and it's only been 2 days. How could you two have intercourse, and make it so severe as to cause a ruptured corpus luteum and massive hemorrhage? Leo's face flushed crimson. His bow dy stiffened, and he didn't dare look at my expression. His voice tight, he said, Doctor, I understand, but now isn't the time for this. My friend also has Rh-negative blood type, let Grace donate. It turned out their passion had ignited, and they couldn't resist. They had gotten intimate again right there in the hospital room. I let out a cold laugh, my eyes filled with disgust. I will donate a maximum of 300 milliliters of blood for her, no more. The rest, your hospital can figure out, or you can figure it out yourself, I don't care. My body hadn't fully recovered. If I donated that much blood all at once, my flight the day after tomorrow would probably be delayed. This was already me agreeing out of humanitarianism. No, that won't do. Where will we find Rh-negative blood at a time like this? Leo's expression changed. How can Grace be so selfish? Only and Grace's friend have Rh-negative blood type. Is really going to just stand by and let her die? He was terrified that something serious might actually happen to Chloe. Wouldn't he be held legally responsible then? He was regretting terribly that he hadn't controlled himself. He quickly told the doctor, Doctor, don't listen to Grace. I'm her boyfriend, I can make decisions. It's a matter of life and death, so take as much blood as you need. At most, she'll just eat more afterward, and it'll all come back. Ultimately, it was a life at stake, so I softened and donated 500 milliliters of blood. When I emerged, my face was ashen, and I felt both nauseous and increasingly dizzy. Chloe's life was finally saved. Leo stayed by Chloe's bedside, only letting out a sigh of relief after confirming she was out of danger. Only then did he belatedly remember me. Then his body instantly stiffened. He hurriedly explained, Grace, don't believe what the doctor said. It's not like that at all. What kind of relationship could my cousin and I possibly have? We are. He stammered, so anxious that sweat beaded on his forehead. A chill ran through him. It's over. He didn't know how to face my wrath. I cut him off. I feel terrible after donating blood, so I'm going home to rest now. We can talk about it when you come home. You stay here and take good care of your cousin. I believe you. I'm sure there's a hidden story, some difficult circumstances. The man looked at me in disbelief. Grace. Grace is really not angry? Don't I know Grace? Grace has always been sensible and obedient. How could I not believe Grace? I said, smiling reassuringly. We can talk about it when you get home. I hadn't cared for a long time. Why would I be angry? Convinced that I wasn't truly angry, Leo visibly let out a long sigh of relief, and his face broke into his usual sweet, innocent smile. Then Grace, you go home first. I'll stay at the hospital for 2 or 3 days at most, and as soon as Chloe wakes up, I'll come right back. He felt immensely grateful and touched by me. He secretly decided that once Chloe was out of danger, he would completely break things off with her. He wouldn't spend his time carousing anymore. Perhaps settling down and marrying me for good wouldn't be so bad after all. A few days passed, and the moving company had already sorted and organized all the belongings in the house. I told the housekeeper, "Ma'am, I don't want any of these things anymore. Please take home anything you can use. If not, you can throw them away or sell them, that's fine too." From now on, I would be settling long-term on Aegis, so many things would need to be repurchased. I also arranged for someone to help me sell the villa. During the days I spent recovering in the hospital, I had already said my goodbyes to all my relatives and friends. On the day I left, many people still came to see me off. At the airport, a group of people reluctantly said, "Ms. Grace, don't forget us after you leave. We'll all miss you." We always knew Ms. Grace was destined for great things. Ms. Grace's future at headquarters will be limitless. We don't know if we'll ever get to see Ms. Grace again. I smiled and said, "Once I settle down there, everyone is welcome to visit. I'll be sure to host you well." "Hey, Ms. Grace, where's Grace's puppy-like boyfriend? Isn't he coming with Grace?" Someone suddenly asked, sounding very confused. Everyone fell silent and looked at me. I replied casually, "Oh, we broke up. We're not together anymore, so of course he's not coming with me." The others just chuckled at that. They had never truly considered Leo my boyfriend. More often, they thought he was just a diversion, a way for me to pass the time. Now that I was moving on to my future, a breakup was only natural. It wasn't surprising at all. The flight lasted a day. Finally, it safely arrived on Aegis early the next morning. Surrounded by sea, the climate here was humid and warm. It was a wonderful place to live. Headquarters offered excellent benefits, generously allocating me a seaside villa. I reported for duty the next day. Life gradually returned to normal. Chloe woke up on the evening of the 3rd day. Leo breathed a sigh of relief and hastily said, "Since you're awake, I'm leaving. I paid all your medical expenses, and there's 100,000 in the card as compensation for you. From now on, we're through. Don't come looking for me." "What, Leo? You're breaking up with me?" The woman was still shedding tears of injustice, but after hearing his words, she instantly became agitated. She reached out to grab his sleeve, wailing, "No, I won't agree. I was so seriously injured because of you, how can you be so heartless?" But the man ruthlessly shook her off. He was extremely irritated, his tone cold. "We were just having a casual fling, and I'm not your only man anyway. Know when to quit, and stop bothering me. Otherwise, you won't get that 100,000, and you'll end up with nothing." Leo had been driven to the brink of a breakdown by this woman over the past few days. At that moment, he only wanted to shake her off quickly and come find me. Ignoring the woman's desperate pleas, he put on his jacket and hastily left the hospital, hailing a taxi for the villa. On the way, he kept staring down at his phone, his brows furrowed at the unreplied messages. Since I left that day, I hadn't sent him a single message. He had sent several messages, but I hadn't replied. It was as if I had vanished without a trace. For the past 2 days, he had been very anxious, wanting to go back to the villa to check on things. But hadn't woken up, and he couldn't leave her, so he had to be patient. Leo gripped his phone tighter. He thought I might be on another business trip. When he got back, he'd have to make me some soup to nourish me. My body hadn't fully recovered yet. But when he arrived in front of the villa, he happened to see a luxury car parked there. A group of brightly dressed people got out and were moving things inside. "Hurry, hurry! Completely redecorate the interior of this villa." "Who are you people? What are you doing?" Leo's expression changed, and he rushed forward to stop them. He glanced at the tightly shut villa gate behind him, and a terrible premonition suddenly filled his heart. The middle-aged man he had stopped frowned deeply. "What are you doing?" Get out of the way. This is my house. What we do here is none of your business. Your house? Leo said in disbelief. What do you mean your house? This is clearly my girlfriend's house. Everyone looked at him with strange expressions. One person kindly offered, oh, you mean the villa's former owner, right? Don't you know? She flew to Aegis 3 days ago, and the villa has already been sold to us. You're really her boyfriend? And you didn't know? It was like a bolt from the blue, striking Leo dizzy. He exclaimed, gone? How is that possible? Why would we lie to you about something like this? The group glanced at him, too lazy to bother with him anymore. And continued to direct people to move things inside. Leo snapped out of it, violently pushed past the person in front of him, and rushed inside. But the villa was already empty. All the familiar items were gone, the furniture and decorations had all been sold. Still unwilling to believe, he pushed open the door to my usual room. It, too, was devoid of my presence. Even if Leo still couldn't believe it, he had to accept reality now. I had indeed left without a word. His lips trembled, his face was pale, and he sat on the sofa as if all strength had drained from his body. Leo's eyes were red-rimmed at some point, and his face looked increasingly piteous. A hollow ache seemed to open up in his chest, leaving him feeling utterly helpless and bewildered. He didn't know what to do. I hadn't expected Leo to follow me. And so quickly. As soon as I opened the door, Leo was standing there. Seeing that it was really me opening the door, his expression became incredibly agitated, and he felt as if a month's worth of exhaustion had vanished. Grace, he cried out excitedly. The corners of his eyes were red again, he looked terribly wronged, like a lost puppy. Grace, how could you do this to me? How could you leave without a word? The moment he realized I had abandoned him, he felt completely disoriented and aimless. It was then that it dawned on him, he couldn't live without me. Filled with deep regret, he immediately dropped everything back home to come find me. Now, everyone around him thought he had lost his mind, unable to believe he had messed up so badly and was now hopelessly entangled. I looked at him with amusement. His face was truly deceptive, he looked incredibly helpless and vulnerable. Normally, I would have felt a surge of pity for him, but now, my expression was cold. Why did you follow me here? Oh, I was in a hurry when I left, so let me tell you directly now, we're breaking up. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. How's Chloe's Rico? Very coming along? You're responsible for it, after all. It's only right that you take care of her until she's fully recovered. Leo's face went white. He reached out and cautiously tugged at my sleeve, his voice trembling. Grace, please don't say that. I can explain. I didn't. I pulled my hand away, interrupting him. My tone was cool. 2 weeks ago at the lounge, I saw you. As his eyes widened in shock, I continued. It was that night you were with those rich playboys, and Chloe was in your arms. I heard everything you said. That baby in Chloe's womb is yours, isn't it? You two must have really enjoyed sneaking around in the villa behind my back, having your little affair, didn't you? The more I spoke, the paler Leo's face became. By the end, he was trembling and could barely stand. He realized then. He understood that I had discovered his true colors much earlier than he thought. This meant everything he and Chloe had done was laid bare before my eyes. His limbs went weak. He felt a chill spread through his entire body. Grace, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. He pleaded desperately. Please give me another chance. I've been a complete jerk, utterly worthless. I swear I'll never do it again. I'll do anything you say. He clung tightly to my sleeve, begging desperately, tears streaming down his face. In the past, whenever he showed such vulnerability, I would sigh helplessly, and my heart would soften. I always felt pity for his youth and his unfortunate background. I forcefully shook his hand off once more, my gaze indifferent. Leo, I don't want you anymore. I'm not getting any younger, and my parents are getting old. They just want to see their children settled down before they can rest easy. I've already agreed to an arranged marriage. Unless something unexpected happens, I'll be married within the month. Not wanting to see Leo's ashen face any longer, I simply closed the door, got into my car, and drove to work. This relationship had only lasted a few months and hadn't really left much of a mark on my heart. My busy work life had already pushed him to the back of my mind. Now that I'd been promoted to a new position, I was completely immersed in my work. Left standing there, Leo swayed unsteadily, almost falling to the ground. He watched my car as it drove further and further away. Aegis had a mild climate, but at that moment, he felt a coldness spread from his feet to his very core. Every part of him trembled. He gave a bitter laugh, and when he lowered his head, clear tears rolled down his cheeks. He felt as if a piece of his heart had been torn out. Yet he had a premonition that I would never come back. He had been abandoned by me. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.